Gentlemen, time now to say hello to our in-studio guests. How great is this? Two of my favorite people in MMA together in studio, fresh off the plane, fresh off their trips to JFK, I believe. We've got John Kavanagh and Rich Chou. This is a real treat. Hello, gentlemen.
What's up,
How are you, John?
How are you getting on?
Great to see you. Good to see you. Look at this guy, Mr. Corporate with the jacket. Look at this. This is amazing.
There we go.
And what about this? What do you...
Well, the
do you have to
weekend that's in
say?
it. Well, I suppose the weekend's over now.
Well,
but,
we can't do it? Too late?
No,
I mean,
100%.
we didn't have a
I
show on
appreciate
Sunday.
it. Yeah.
Now,
I feel like New York has a hangover when I was driving
That's
through there.
fine.
Never show up empty-handed, right?
Oh, look at this.
You can put that up later, but it's a little gift from
I appreciate it. Thank you
from
so
the
much.
lads at Alta.
I'll be like a real workout guy. You show up
yeah.
with your protein shake. Thank you so
What's
much.
this?
This is from St. Pat's. Do you know St. Pat's?
Of course I do.
They gifted me this.
St. Patrick. My
This is
son just was
Yes.
born Patrick.
Yes. Is this your club? Do you not support
Well, I guess
them?
it is now. Yeah, I'm not a
Okay.
big football
Football
fan.
guy? All right.
Still.
This is lovely. Look at these guys.
Who would have thunk it?
Well done. Well done.
This is a big deal for me. This was
This is
after all
old
these
hat for
years.
John. Yeah, this is old hat for John. But you've
Yeah,
never been in
yes.
studio.
He wasn't very
He wasn't excited.
or impressed.
No.
He's like, it's just another trip to the
That's
studio.
only
Yes.
After all these years, this is actually my first time, my first visit.
First time in studio. You've been on the show before.
Yes.
We've interviewed, but never
But even
here.
all the times we've had events in the city, just for one reason or
Yes.
another, never made it in here. So this is...
Well, you've always been invited. I think you've kind of chosen in the past to be behind the scenes.
I wouldn't say that.
Really?
Scheduling conflicts.
Okay, yes,
We
yes.
Just,
You are a little bit the guy in the background.
Yeah.
Fairness.
John comes begrudgingly, by the way. Like you almost have to drag him in, kicking and screaming. There's
Always a pleasure.
a few zingers here and there prior, but we make it happen. So this is a big week for you guys.
Yes.
You're rocking the shirt.
Yes.
So explain to the people, because I think, well, obviously on this show, Wimp to Warrior was something that we talked about because our own Casey Leiden had his match.
Yes.
And I actually think that there's a way we can work together, but I will tell you about that in a moment. Tell us why this is a big week for, now it's called Train Alta. You guys transitioned over to a new name. You rebranded, right?
Yes.
Why is this a big week for you guys? And bring us up to speed on what you guys are doing.
So I guess the big one is we're listing on the stock exchange, underneath the ticker
Wow.
MMA, which I really love.
That is wild.
Yeah. And our mission is simple. There's over 500 million MMA fans worldwide. In the States alone, there's 45,000 martial arts gyms, which is going to be going up to, I think it's 60,000 in the next year or so. And then worldwide, it's a multiple of that. And we want to help them come together, encourage more people to get that in-gym experience. I know what martial arts has done for my life, same as Rich, and we know what it's done for so many people out there. And these great organizations create all this interest in this sport, and that's been the last decade, has been the interest in watching the sport has exploded in the last decade. And we feel the next decade, it's going to be participation in the sport that's going to explode. And that's right from whether it's looking at some content online, right up into going into the gym. And that's ultimately what we want to try and do. We want to get as many people in the MMA gyms as possible, martial arts gyms as possible. I know how tough it is to run a martial arts gym. I also have a fight team. Most people don't get to the stage of having a very, large professional fight team. That's part of it. But really, it's the mom and dads coming in to do some kickboxing, some jiu-jitsu, some MMA, the kids coming in. And we want to just make that as a easy on-ramp as possible for as many people interested in the sport as possible.
So, Rich, when we last did an interview, it was 2021, you were leaving Bellator, and the main thing that you were jumping into was this.
Yeah, almost to the day, 3 years ago.
Yes, crazy,
It's been
right?
3 years when I was when you gave me the opportunity to come on and talk about the big transition, and this is it's only fitting to be back to share this moment with you, and it's a pretty big milestone for us. We're extremely excited. There's a lot of work to be done. In many ways, it feels like it's just beginning in some ways. Like this 3 years has flown by, and we've had our ups and downs, and certain times never thought we'd get here, but the scrappy little startup has made it, and at least, to the NYSC. In fact, that's where we're going right after the show, is to present there, and we're on track to list next week.
Wow, that is wild. By the way, how did you guys get MMA as the three letters? That's...
We still haven't quite figured that out. We're not asking questions.
No,
we're
take
just
it
thank
and
you.
run with it.
It was kind of somewhat presented to us, and it was like, oh, would you be interested? Yeah, we'll take that. So just worked out really well that if you want to invest in MMA, you can literally invest in MMA.
So you mentioned the 3 years, like the ups and downs, right? How was it difficult, and how was this journey maybe different than you expected when you leave matchmaking and VP of talent relations and you're helping to run a promotion as opposed to more of a grassroots type of job, right? Things that maybe you didn't
yes
expect.
and no. I think the challenge came from still embracing the grassroots. Like I still love going in the gyms, connecting with coaches, fighters, guys that I've worked with over the last 20 plus years. Like that's the grassroots element that I love. But then, at our core, we're a tech startup company. So I'm having to put myself in some uncomfortable situations as far as learning new things, spending a lot of time with our, the bankers and our finance team learning about this entire IPO process. John and I would always laugh about being white belts in that regard.
We're getting close to blue belt now.
Perhaps after this week.
Yeah,
we could
give ourselves a blue belt if we get there when we list.
There's also the whole tech side of things. So it was really trying to balance something I knew very well and was very comfortable, a world I was comfortable in, and this entirely new world. But that's one of the main reasons why I left, to continue to learn and grow and be in that position. So it's very surreal, but we're here and we're thrilled. We're excited about it.
So I don't want to take for granted that the audience knows exactly what we're talking about. So like when Rich is talking about the tech side of things, what exactly is Train Alta? And by the way, would it be Alta or Train Alta? And by the way, that is a gift from the man himself. I want to call it the right thing. It's just Alta. Train Alta is the.
And we couldn't get Alta.com. And then there's something about the word, about the way it rolls off your tongue, Train Alta.
Yeah.
That now it seems to be getting referred to as just Train Alta all the time.
Okay.
So I guess that's it. You don't complain what your customers are saying. But yeah, like I said, in a nutshell, we want to make that on-ramp for potential customers for martial arts gyms out there. We know how valuable martial arts training is for the average person. There's people that enjoy going to, a gym, running on a treadmill and stuff. I admire that. I just couldn't do it. I'm too lazy. But to go in and learn to be part of this ecosystem, so to speak, whether you're a fan of the sport, you're doing a bit of jiu-jitsu, doing a bit of kickboxing, we want to try and help as many of those get physically into gyms, because like I was saying, it'll only be a very tiny percent of gyms that will have like a professional fight team to the level where they can just make a living off that. If we have 45,000 martial arts academies in America alone, they're mostly owner-operated. They're guys in towns and in cities that are, let's say, maybe struggling a little bit to compete marketing-wise and Google search ads-wise with the local big box gyms. Whereas maybe as a team combined, we can help them get new customers in more regularly than they are at the moment. When I ran my first program, back when it was Went to Warrior, and that's when Conor was at a stage of like running through everybody, and I had a lot of interest from because of that, but it still wasn't really translating to regular people coming in and trying out the class. In fact, sometimes I felt it was actually holding me back even more, having like a very big character in the gym in order to, while I was trying to build my kids club and, just regular members. And the first season I ran, I had more people join in that week than I had in the previous 6 months. And that was right around the time of Conor knocking out Aldo. And so I think that's been a challenge for martial arts club owners, is that we know our product is great. Martial arts coaches, they'll stay on the mats all day, 7 days a week. They have a real passion for it, but maybe need a little bit of help on the background stuff, how to attract new members, how to hold on to them, better ways of monetizing. If you have a building and it's there 7 days a week, well, for example, our flagship program, that's run at 6 o'clock in the morning, where usually there wouldn't be classes run then. So yeah, it's to help that inventory of MMA clubs out there be as successful as they can.
So if I'm someone who lives, let's say, in Illinois, can I do this on my own, or do I have to find a gym that's affiliated with Alta in order to be a part of the program?
No, it's an in-gym, that particular product, so to speak, because that's how the company. That's the roots of the company, is the 20-week training program that you mentioned, that Casey completed and fought at the end. So we've since built off that.
Okay.
Like it's a great foundation to have that experience. And we've since built off that. And earlier when you brought up, the whole tech component, that's what Train Alta, the website, is now designed for, is to help gyms not only gain new members with our program, but also through our online community and through becoming a member of trainalta.com. So what we hope to do is have, and we're off to a pretty good start with several hundred gyms already, but we want to create the largest online community of all the best coaches, trainers, gym owners, and enthusiasts as well, all coming together to celebrate the greatest sport in the world, MMA, learn, train. I think there's a lot of ways to really get involved. I think it all starts with going on the site, but you can watch instructional videos. We just filmed 2 amazing masterclass type series with DC and Rafael Cordero.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've seen him on before, and I'm like, that's gas.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
we were just talking about him. And he did an amazing intro to Muay Thai. DC obviously has his wrestling masterclass. So whether it's consuming that kind of content to get more familiar with the sport, to finding a gym just to take a class, to the 20-week training program, we're trying to offer various things to gym owners to be able to get more members.
I think a good proxy for what we do is, if you think of like typical strength and conditioning gyms 15 odd years ago, there would have been a very intimidating environment for a regular person to go into. Okay, you could go in, maybe guys are already big and strong. They're fine with going in there, but women going in, younger people who are not strong already. And then CrossFit came along and made this very appealing on-ramp, and now you can go into these strength and conditioning gyms and you get a wide range of people. We want to become CrossFit for martial arts. And, because like I said, the perception of training might put some people off, like they look at the 0.0001% that are fighting professionally in whether it's UFC or PFL, whatever the case may be. I was like, well, I wish I could do that, but that's not for me. And for myself, anytime I'm out in Dublin, for every 100 people that come up to me to say, like, oh, man, I wish I could do what you, but I know you only train professional fighters. Like, no, it's not. That's a very tiny part of what I do. Now it's even easier to say, look, go on to trainalta.com. We have seasons starting all around the country throughout the year. Sign up, get in touch, and we'll be in touch when there's one near you. And we just want to be able to roll that out. That's what this IPO is about. And I'm sure which I can say and all of that, but basically to give us that capital strength where we can employ more people, put more into the tech, put more into our marketing, and get as many people on the mats as possible. That's what we're about.
How many countries is it currently in?
10. Yep.
10 countries.
10
so
countries,
U.S. obviously.
10 countries and growing. And we just late last year, we made a very interesting move with a strategic partnership with a group in Mexico.
Okay.
So Cagers Gym, where Yair, several other Mexican fighters have ties to, and the Upper Agency are a strategic partner in Mexico and are going to help us roll out in Latin America. So last year was really dedicated to a lot of moves like that in anticipation of this IPO, in anticipation of this, hopefully this big growth that we're going to experience. So this is going to be a huge year for us, and we hope to just prove to everyone that, well, MMA really is for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, woman, child, age is not it's not relevant. Everyone can benefit from training, and that's ultimately our goal, is to get everyone on the mats.
So it's interesting that you made that distinction, because I was talking to Conor back there. Oh, hello. I didn't even realize there was a photographer here.
There you go.
Very sneaky. Hello. I was so locked in. I didn't even realize we had company. I was talking to Conor, our producer back there. We were looking at some of the clips before the show, and he's very fit. He's 30 years old. And he's like, I like this. I would want to do this. He's starting to get a little bit into, hitting mitts, hitting a heavy bag, doing some training stuff. But then he said, like, I don't know about the fight. I don't know about the fight. And I think a lot of people might associate this with the fight at the end, like what we were just talking about with Casey. You don't necessarily have to do that, right?
No.
Okay.
And I think as time goes on, that'll become less and less important.
Okay. Because that might shy people away from it.
Well, I was shocked at how successful the company had become. With that being, it would have been a little bit easier for the people watching to probably go like a jiu-jitsu only angle. To do it with MMA straight away,
yeah,
I think that's what proved that this will be very successful when we do have jiu-jitsu programs, sort of like fitness style programs based around the martial arts training. I do think it's good to have some kind of tests at the end of it, and in martial arts, in different styles, you can do gradings to get your next belts. So some technical test, which is something we're rolling out as well, because not everybody is going to make that walk.
Right.
And sometimes with if someone's doing it in my gym, I might encourage them to take a grappling match at the end of it, or like a no headshots match. So there is different scales, different intensities depending on. We get a lot of 22-year-olds coming in, and they've come from previous sport and they really want to get into, maybe go on to fight more regularly in amateur MMA. Even some of our previous contestants have gone on to fight professional. Wow. But that's not really the point of it. The point of it is to get people in, get them training regular martial arts training. If at the end of doing this particular program, they want to take the technical test in MMA, that's fine. From there, we might slot them into, maybe they're more interested in the kickboxing element of it. Most MMA gyms have a kickboxing program, a jiu-jitsu program, right, and some sort of fitness element as well. So, yeah, kind of what we want to do is just to generate as much noise as possible. Like I said, the previous 10 years was about getting more eyes on watching the professional end of the sport. We believe the next 10 years we can get more people physically walking into the gym and seeing MMA-style training as a way of staying fit physically. I think there's a big mental health aspect towards fighting that doesn't quite come from other sport paradigms, but it is very much part of MMA. And yeah, just fill gyms. Fill gyms.
To add to that, what you just said earlier, the original question, yeah, it's a big commitment. It takes a lot. You're essentially diving into the deep end with the original Warrior program, right? 20 weeks to the fight, and we realized, well, it is a lot. For those who have completed it and want to take on that challenge, it's tremendous. But there are a lot of people that aren't quite ready for it. So we actually piloted a program with UFC Gym late last year to create a different kind of experience. It's a 10-week training camp without a fight at the end, but you're learning all the skills. You're in that fight camp mentality, and you're being tested at the end. So we're getting ready to roll that out this year as well with the UFC Gym, a very big initiative for us this year. And so far we have Cub Swanson wanting to run it at his gym, BJ in Hawaii, Josh Thompson, the pilot program was at his gym in San Jose, and I think Frankie's going to take it on as well at his gym in New Jersey. So that's another way that we've evolved from just the 20-week program. Again, it's still there. We still love it. It's our roots, and we embrace it. But you had a great question. Like, what about all the people that aren't ready for that?
Right.
And we're going to try and offer them this, along with, again, just get in a gym. How can we help you get in a gym? Even if it's a 1-week pass, a 1-month pass, that's our goal. Because we're confident that once you get in, you'll never leave.
Right.
You're going to love it.
What's tougher and more challenging, this particular role or matchmaking, fights falling through, all the drama behind the scenes?
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
And it's funny that, like, back in the day, me and Rich might have clashed over something, because he'd be matching my guys, and sometimes you get into arguments, but, well, I don't think that's a good match, blah, blah, blah. Sure. And then a couple of years later, we're working together,
thick as thieves.
But we worked everything out on the mat, so we're all good.
I never once did I imagine we'd be in this position, and for me, that's been part of this ride of where we're at now. I just kind of look at this wall here, and I recognize so many people that are involved with Alta.
Oh,
when I see Izzy, Eugene Berriman.
Oh, wow.
He runs the biggest program
He's run
in the world.
biggest program.
Is that true?
I've run the second biggest. He has me on that one.
Wow.
So they're constantly
half of New Zealand has done the program in his gym.
Really? Wow.
So I see that. I see DC's obviously a major brand ambassador for us. He's also been a coach. He's been very open about his passion for coaching average everyday people. Jessie Clark, she's actually the longest tenured coach in America.
What? This is crazy.
Yeah, I coached the program with her in Syndicate MMA in Vegas.
Okay.
Many, many years ago. I can't think of many
Francis, Extreme Couture.
Yeah,
also a Alta partner.
It's like a 1
You
degree.
got Gilbert on.
You know that guy? That's Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
You remember that
Trains
guy?
at some gym in Dublin, I think, with some guy.
Actually, I'm going to the movie premiere tomorrow.
I will be there too.
Will you?
Yes.
Deadly.
With my wife.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Nice one.
I'm looking forward to it. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
I wanted to watch it in that setting.
That would be great. I can't, Unfortunately, he's too big for our little program, so we can't get him on. I know he's in New
I
York.
seen the tweet and he was like, I'll see you when I'm in
Yeah,
town. I was like,
it's like,
oh,
no.
maybe he'll be on before me or we'll drag him on.
It's
but-
okay. We're just small potatoes over here. We don't have a pot to piss in. How times have changed. That's crazy that you went through GSP. Anything in Canada, by the way?
We actually have run the program at TriStar before.
Okay.
I actually went to TriStar when to kind of get that over the line. And
Yeah,
met all
we
those
have to make our
guys.
way back to Canada. Canada will be back soon.
Is there no Canadian presence at the moment?
We had to kind of reset after COVID.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Canada was
we
tough.
are, but we are gonna. I think now's
I think
the time.
everything has been a little bit on hold for
Yes.
quite a while now. And this weekend, today, launching this roadshow is really the kickstart again. And we used that time. We had like our first round or two, we won like 10-8 and we were flying out and everybody wanted to run the program. Then Cobra came along, that's rounds 3 and 4, gave us a hard time. We didn't tap out.
Yeah.
We're going into the fifth round now, championship round. And now we're ready. Now we have the team around us. We're going to have the funding by the end of this. And we're really ready to put the foot down and really make this big
How many
time.
people work for Alta?
What would you say?
About 25.
Okay.
25. Yeah, the main office is in Sydney.
Right.
So
Nick is the founder,
correct.
right?
Nick is in town as well.
Okay,
today,
nice.
Yeah. Going to meet him now after this.
Okay. By the way, do you guys? I should have asked you this off air, but I know that's a big deal. Do you have a hard out? Do you have to be there at a certain time? We're not that far, by the way. From
I know,
New York
yeah.
side.
That's
It's
because I'm at the
literally
sprint
like
from the airport to get
Yeah,
there. And
yeah,
I was
yeah.
late. And Orla was like, "Don't worry, Raphael is in studio before you." So I was like, "Okay." Now I have to sprint from here to get the suit on.
Oh gosh.
And then run down the road into the
Okay,
stock
okay.
exchange.
No,
so.
but we're good.
Okay, yeah, no, because I know that.
enjoyed this.
Sorry,
man.
sorry,
No, I don't want
I'm not
to.
worried.
Again,
This
old
is-
hats in this
I'm so
guy.
comfortable here. It's
We'll
not a
back here
big
next
deal.
Monday.
Yeah,
This is like some
anytime.
bucket list stuff for me. Can
Anytime.
I?
By the way, it is kind of crazy that you're here this particular week for so many different reasons. I was thinking if you were going to go to the premiere tomorrow, number one. Number two, St. Patrick's Day yesterday is a big deal here in New York. Obviously.
Much bigger here.
Yeah, it seems like it. But then also Bellator back in Northern Ireland on Friday. Your connection. Could I ask, what is it like for you to see this Bellator 2.0, 3.0, maybe 4.0? Do you have do you feel any sort of connection to it, or has it been so long and now that Scott and company aren't involved? I know Mike is still involved. Do you feel that like disconnected from it? How do you feel as it relaunches?
I went through that already.
Okay.
Yeah. So
There's no.
no, I'm still a big fan and supporter, and I'm anxious to see how things play out. Kind of get that feel. But as far as not being involved and kind of being from the outside looking in, I've kind of gone through that whole process already.
Now you're also on the management side of things too, right?
I just help people out.
Okay.
I love the sport. I've been able to develop some really great relationships over the last 20 plus years. And when people reach out in various capacities for help or for advice, I'm always happy to give it. So I just like to stay involved in the sport and just help it grow. But my focus is Alta and with what we're doing here. But if it's an old friend that's calling, I'll pick up and we'll talk about what they're going through.
Okay, now I presume you're going to go back, right? Because Carl Moore,
That's right.
among others.
Yeah, it was funny with, like you said, like Mike Hogan was messaging me on Sunday. Oh, I'm in Belfast for St. Patrick's weekend, And I'm like, oh, I'm flying to New York in the morning. So we kind of just missed each other. But yeah, I leave Wednesday evening, get into Dublin Thursday morning, get the bus straight to Belfast. And I'll just miss I might actually be there for the weigh-ins. Might be a little bit late for the weigh-ins. And then the big fights on
Right.
Friday, yeah. World title fight.
How do you feel about, as a gym owner and as a coach, I think it's interesting what's happening here, but let's be honest, there's one less place for guys to
Yes.
sign with, right? Bellator was number 2. Number 3 has swallowed up number 2. That's maybe cool for fans. We get these super cards. But for the fighters, it's one less spot, right?
Yeah.
To take your talents to negotiate. How do you feel about, and I know it's kind of new, and we have to see how
it's
it
still
plays
new,
out.
and it's hard for me to give a really good answer on it. Like I can say, so far my experience has been very positive. I hit it off with Pete, CEO of PFL, which is great. Then Mike Hogan, my brother in arms, he gets taken on as well. So that gave me a big feel of familiarity, especially on the Bellator side of things. now I've got, like, let's say one of my fighters, for example, Nate Kelly, that's on the show in Belfast. He's fighting on Bellator, but he's a PFL fighter. So there's an example of a fighter getting an extra fight that he wouldn't have got if he'd only been with PFL, but because he can kind of jump around a bit, he's getting a fight on Bellator in Belfast. So far, I'd have to say for myself, it's been quite positive. There was a little bit of pain. There was a few guys that got released, which is never easy. But I think as time goes on, and, you know, I'm very close with, like, Dan Hardy, for example, and I speak to them about their plans for going into, you know, whether it's the Middle East, Australia, the rest of Europe. So, you know, UFC has always been very, very US-centric, whereas Bellator and now PFL, they seem to be quite open to doing shows around the rest of the world. And my mat is quite international. I have a lot of guys from around the place. So, yeah, you know, change is always a bit painful. Change is always resisted. But I'm trying to look at it and see, well, what angle can I take on this where I'll still be able to keep my guys busy?
How do you feel about the current state of MMA in Ireland? Very
positive.
Yeah.
Very positive.
Feels like we're back, like there's ups and downs, and now we're like back on an up. Am I crazy?
I suppose I look at it in ways of, are the teams busy? And it would seem all the pros are getting good opportunities. There's a lot of fans out there that are like, well, if it's not the UFC, it's not happening. Whereas most of my fighting has been outside of the UFC with Bellator and PFL. And I'm very happy with how the guys are doing. I probably at this stage have a little bit different way of looking at it than most people. I joke saying to Orla, I count my success now, and many of my guys can buy a house. And that's been a pretty good number. And, you know, it's kind of like a lot of my fight team, I picture in their 40s maybe invite me around to the barbecue and being, you know, seeing then what I'm trying to do now with more of them. And the more people I can get with their mortgages paid off, the more I'll see that as being successful.
Yeah, that's a great litmus, if you will.
The belts are great, the titles are great,
yes.
And we'll, of course, chase down. We have a world title fight Friday night. I think it's our 4th attempt at a Bellator world title, so fingers crossed we get it this time. But maybe with age or whatever it is, different things start to become important that other things maybe were more so at a different time in my life. And
we had Gilbert on earlier, and he's getting into the promotional game with Scott.
Yeah.
In an area that you know very well, the Bay Area.
I was about outside. I was like, what? Scott's back? And then with Gilbert, it's great.
It's crazy. How do you feel about this? Because it feels like there was once a time, I remember going to those shows in San Jose.
Yeah.
There was nothing better than those shows. And it was like the best kept secret in America or maybe the world as far as MMA. And you were closely linked, obviously, with Scott so many years. How do you feel about this? And I know this is a little bit more like lower level. They're building it up, but still significant.
It's still exciting. Love to see it. Actually, I was in the Bay Area last week. We had the road show in the Bay Area and got a chance to connect with both of them. And so I knew it was coming, but to see the response being as positive as it is, it's great. I think we need more events, as you mentioned earlier. And even if it's small, you know, I know those two will work their way up, and I'm expecting big things out of them. You know,
you going to join them? Are you coming back to no.
I will always support them. Those are my guys. I mean, Gil started fighting. I started working with him even before. Like, he fought for us in Hawaii and Rumble on the Rock.
Oh, yeah.
So we go way back. And, you know, obviously, you know, my history with Scott and, you know, how I feel about him. So I'm always going to root for them. And I'm rooting for everybody. I'm very optimistic about the PFL and this new era. Change is always tough, right?
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, everyone's venting, everyone's, you know, publicly, privately, everyone's nervous, but I think things are going to be all right. And there's always going to be new players coming out. I mean, how many times have we seen this over the years? Organizations, you know, go away one way or another. In fact, didn't you just post the Strikeforce acquisition? Not that long ago.
The 13-year anniversary, last week.
You know,
crazy, right?
You know,
business as usual.
But this industry, as we know, it's unpredictable, and it's wild. But I love it, and I believe in it, and we're seeing more and more people want to get involved. So I'm excited for the future, and that just creates more opportunities in many areas, including, you know, for us over at Alta. So
as a coach, as a practitioner, as a lifelong fight enthusiast, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. Your feelings? We just had Rafael talk about it, and he was very positive about it.
Yeah, well, I suppose he's got a lot more dealings with.
Sure.
Like, I don't know whether there's a wink and a nod behind the stage. Is Tyson going to be 60?
58.
58. Full force blows to the head at 58. No, it's not.
No matter who you are.
No matter who you are, you don't need to be doing that. It was kind of exhibition and it's kind of sparring. Great. Because I was asked about not necessarily just Mike, but this kind of YouTube boxing stuff. And my take on it now, rather than being snobby about it, is like, I just love anything that gets more kids involved in sport. Great if it's combat sports, whether it's boxing, wrestling, mixed martial arts, whatever the case may be. And if Jake Paul is doing a good job of filling local boxing gyms, it's it's a little bit of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Brilliant. There's a thing, I'm not into the whole whatever else he's doing. Particularly on that bout, I don't think someone approaching 60 needs to be fighting. It would appear Jake hits hard. He's knocked out a few guys. So I just hope that it is what it is. It's kind of an entertainment thing, and they move around the ring and kind of spar. So as long as it's that, thumbs up.
How do you feel about it? It's just such a hot topic right now. And by the way, 80,000 people on Netflix. It's not like it's happening behind,
80 million people.
Well, 80,000 people in the stadium, which is absurd, right? It's happening where the Dallas Cowboys play at AT&T Stadium, which is one of the biggest venues in America. Not to mention the 280 million subscribers on Netflix who will get this for free if they're just subscribers. So I understand what you're saying, but like, can they put on a sparring session like in front of that many people? I don't know.
I just think the majority of those people are not going to be really high-level boxing officials.
Yeah.
Like, what are they really watching it for? They want to see a good press conference, maybe a bit of shoving and shouting, whatever else they put on. They'll want to see a spectacular event, lighting and fireworks, great walkouts. But once it goes click, they don't really know what they're looking at, or they're not going to have massive interest. And I think as well, their stomach wouldn't be able for seeing, really hard fighting.
Right.
I guess the point I'm making is I just think the majority of people watching this is going to be for the entertainment side.
Sure.
So put on an entertaining show.
How do you feel about it?
I'm conflicted and torn, like many out there. The promoter in me totally gets it.
Yeah.
And look, I've been a part of some quote unquote circus acts myself over the years, and they've had their, we've learned from them, and we've seen some good and some bad come from those. The purist in me, feels really uncomfortable because I think we all love Mike Tyson. He's, the beloved badass of our generation, and none of us want to see him get hurt. Adore Rafael. He's a partner and a friend, and I just don't want to see anything bad happen to Mike. But as a promoter, I totally get it. I mean, look at all of this chatter out there.
Right.
I mean, they announced it, over a week ago, and people are still talking about it.
Those videos of him hitting mitts. It's kind of terrifying for a 58-year-old to look like that. I don't disagree with anything you said, but it's just kind of mind-blowing that he's still, even if it's like a 10-second clip, right?
Yeah.
That's not...
Look, he could go out there and spark, Jake.
Yeah.
But there's a reality of there's a reason why there's not too many people approaching 60 fighting professionally.
Sure, no.
You know? I suppose what was George Foreman was up there. Maybe
he was late 40s.
Late 40s.
Yeah. He didn't look like a big ab, but he was still in the 40
he had that
range.
style where he didn't have to move too much, but Tyson is. It's a lot of movement, but look, he's saying it's a promoter he gets, and I will say as a gym owner, I think great if this generates a lot of interest in the sport of boxing. And if this gets a couple of thousand kids to go to the local gym and maybe a few kids that never heard of Mike Tyson to appreciate him.
Yeah.
Look back at him in the 80s and 90s. I'm trying to drag the positivity out of, because I just certainly wouldn't like to see like who was he? Tyrone Woodley?
Yeah.
Something like that. A hero like that of ours.
Yeah.
Getting badly knocked out.
You're in an interesting spot because obviously you had no greater influencer, for lack of a better word, in your gym, right, Conor? And there's a trickle-down effect, right? Ian Gary is probably the best example of someone who saw Conor and said, I want to do that, and now look at what he's become. But I'm just wondering, because I always hear and I believe it to a degree, the Jake Pauls of the world, the KSIs of the world, they get younger kids who look up to them. Like my kids are 12, 10, your son is around the same, and they know who those guys are more than the fighters are. Do you see young kids coming to you saying, I want to be like them? Is that a thing at your gym? Or because you have Conor, there's no bigger influence than him, so you don't really need those guys to get people in the gym?
I suppose I more hear it from boxing gym owners that are getting an influx of kids that they're maybe surprised by, like, oh, this is a nice rush of new members.
Yeah.
That maybe got a little spark of interest through watching some influencer. But it's not obviously what's going to keep them training there for weeks, months, years at a time. So, yeah, I do think it's had a trickle-down effect in getting a few people who may not have walked into a boxing gym, the YouTube boxing side of things. YouTube boxing seems to be much bigger than YouTube MMA. You know, there's not too many celebrities doing like an MMA bout. I suppose there's less to learn. You know, you can just put on gloves and swing a bit. But yeah, look, my way of looking at all these things, the entertainment side of things is, hey, it's great if that local struggling gym owner gets 20 new members out of it. I'm for it.
Yeah. No, I know it's not for MMA specifically, but, you know, some kid or mom says, hey, here's a gym. Let's just go be like Jake Paul or KSI or whomever. I hear of this thing that they keep telling us that there's a trickle-down effect, and so I was wondering if you feel it. Your son's around that age, right?
You know what?
I see your son cracking the mitts, by the way.
Yes.
Golly.
Not bad. We have fun. We have fun with it. Wrestling,
10,
training.
11, 12?
He's 9 going on 10.
Golly.
So we have a rule in my house, you have to train.
You have
can't
to
be out there encouraging
that's a
the
good
world
point.
to train.
That's a good point.
And then we don't train at my house. So, yeah, we try to live it and breathe it. And I think as a whole, as a company, it's kind of a for the people, by the people type of vibe. But Jake Paul, Conor, these names, even Kimbo to this day, that's the water cooler talk. That's the barbecue chat. I'm meeting parents at PTA meetings, dads, when they find out, you know, my background and what I'm doing, they want to, you know, those are the first few names that usually pop up, you know, depending how old they are. So I think creating the awareness, going back to that, right, the positivity, people are talking about combat sports. And it's, you know, you have to take the good with the bad. But I think overall, to be in the discussion, you know, these days, I mean, there's so many of these crossover fights happening. There's a ton of, you know, really great MMA, and I know fighters that are, you know, they feel when they get overshadowed by it all. I understand why they don't like it and they're a little bitter about it, but I think overall it's better to be part of the discussion at that mainstream level, because you hope, like you said, someone will find it, someone will take that interest and then do a little more research and realize, man, there's a whole world of really great fighters I haven't discovered yet. So I think you got to take the good with the bad, and to me, ultimately, that is kind of the gateway to the two sports, right?
By the way, for Alta, is there an age restriction, or like, is it available?
By like, say, Ireland, you know, you have to be over 18 to do an amateur MMA fight.
Oh,
sorry,
amateur MMA fight.
I should say you have to be over 18 to do an amateur MMA fight with headshots. We do have under 18s MMA as well, but we don't allow headshots. So it's just done by region. New York might have different rules than Ireland will have different rules than Sydney.
Right.
So whatever region you're in, we're going to operate underneath that rule system.
Okay.
Now, something we're working on is a Little Warriors program.
Oh, love it.
So obviously, they're not going to fight at the end.
Yeah.
But I think combining the positivity of, you know, martial arts, the discipline, you know, the tremendous physical attributes, you know, getting them more athletic, just being on the mat is just a really great thing. You learn these movements and coordination that'll help you in any sport, and also integrating an anti-bullying component. I think, you know, so we're working on a lot of different things, again, to bring it to the masses. Not everyone has to fight. Again, that's there if you want it, but whether it's, you know, a fitness-based program to learn the sport, or in this case, bringing it to kids and teaching them a lot of positive things that'll help them as they get older. We just want to be involved, because it sounds so cliche, it's kind of cheesy, but but it's true. If more people in the world trained, the world might be a better place.
Yes.
That's kind of how
and healthier.
Yes. Yeah.
By the way, who's the youngest person that you've ever had? Like, I was thinking of Nate the Great Kelly, who I remember on his dad's shoulders at the press conference, and then we see him in the cage not that long ago. Who's the youngest person that you've had that now's become a pro? Like you've been around long enough to where I feel like you can, not to age you, but like Nate was like what, 9 or 10 when he did that?
He was, but he's still amateur.
He's still amateur, yes.
I think Lee Hammond is a good example. I think he might have been 11 or 12. Then he becomes an IMAF amateur world champion, switches to pro, does well on the season at Tough, and now he's whatever he is, 5-1-ish.
Man, we're getting old.
That's wild.
But it's that total, that constant, like what's that, the Heraclitus River, where it's, you can never step in the same river twice.
Yeah.
So I kind of had this constant stream for the last 20 years of guys, whether starting in the kids program, being very young, and then getting invites to weddings now, and then I going to baptisms of their children. So it's great to see. It's great to see. I kind of have my first wave of guys now racing towards 40 that are retiring or getting close to retirement, and then there's the next 15, 16, 17-year-olds. So it's never ending.
Do you guys feel this way? Because we're all kind of around the same age, and I feel like from my chair, this perspective is different than yours, right? You were always on the promotional side, coaching side, media side. But like last week, I was feeling this when I spoke to Joanne Wood, aka Calderwood, and there's something about I was talking about on the show, and I don't even know if I expressed it the right way, but I always feel this sort of guilt when the fighters, especially the ones from like 07, 08, 09, when I came in, have to say goodbye. And I know they're going to be around, and she's with Syndicate and her husband, and they're doing great, but like she has to say goodbye, and I get to still sit here and talk about the next event and next event. And I was just wondering if that was something that's just unique to me with my Jewish guilt, or if you guys understand, you know what I mean? Like
Totally.
I always feel every time a fighter retires from that era, and now they're all, they're coming to the end now from that 09, 10, 11, I feel guilty that I get to stay and they don't. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel right. You know what I'm talking about?
Totally. And to take that a step further in my, with my background, I mean, there was moments where I grew up like as a fan of a fighter, and you're having to make tough business decisions around the promotion. So yes, I've totally had to kind of grapple with that, internally. Like, man, this is wild. I'm working with this guy one minute that I kind of came up watching and always respected and admired, and now, we have to, it's a tough business, as we know, and so I've been put in that position a lot, to deal with that guilt, and now, I see it, guys come and going, and it's a tough sport, the hurt business.
Yes.
Right? It's a
And
tough
if I
sport.
can somehow drag this back towards Train Alta, I'll say
Yes, please.
Like, if we're being realistic, like I've known one guy to make retirement type money out of fighting. There's probably, for mixed martial arts, there's probably only been a handful in the game, really, that, in mid to late 30s will never have to work again. That's pretty rare in MMA. So what I really love about the Train Alta program in terms of our gym owners is that we're hopefully giving them a little helping hand, a little boost, because what are the majority of MMA fighters, ex-MMA fighters going on to do? Probably coach.
Right.
Some might get into media like yourself or promoting, but a hell of a lot of them will be reliant on running a gym or working in a gym. Unless they've kind of really worked on a skill set while they were coming, which is what I'm spending more and more of my time encouraging young fighters to do now. Is not just to get locked in on MMA training, try to network, try to improve your communication skills. Maybe you can pick up a degree while you're training. But again, some of them will end up running MMA gyms, and they're in their late 30s, maybe didn't study business, maybe didn't study marketing, advertising. Will coach all day, will get on the mat 9 a.m. and be there till 9 p.m., but not maybe understand or have the relevant training in how to attract people, hold on to them, expand, and be able to make a good living doing a good thing for their community. And that's something that gives me a real buzz for Train Alta, like nothing else I'm involved in at the moment, to be honest.
Do you spend more time on this now than SBG? Is that possible?
Well, I'm pretty good at whatever I'm doing 100%. So Monday to Friday, 11 a.m., I'm on the mats with the guys, and it's full attention for the 2 hours, whatever the time may be. Chatting with promoters, setting up fights, then I'm on for that. but then when I'm working on a Train Alta program, or if I'm coaching it myself, or I'm talking with the guys about expansion, etc. So I try to lock out my day that I don't. If I'm talking to you here, I'm not daydreaming about a fight coming up. It's like I'm talking to Mr. Helwani. So whatever I'm doing 100%.
Not to mention 2 young kids.
2 young kids.
Yes, look at this
young
guy.
Patrick.
Yes. Is he one?
So Conor is 3.5. He's
Okay.
4 in August. And then Patrick is 2 weeks old now.
2 weeks old. That's right. I just wished you why did he look so much bigger in the photo?
Patrick?
Yeah, the
He's
photo that
tiny.
you posted yesterday. I feel like he looked like he was like 6, 7, 8 months. Maybe I'm crazy.
You know what? He's actually longish. Like, he was a little bit small. He was 5.5 pounds, 2.5 kilos for the Europeans.
Okay, yeah.
And but like lengthwise,
Okay.
he's kind of longish.
Wow.
So
You're right in you're right in the thick of it here.
Well,
I'm sure your wife
Orla's
Orla
watching this at the moment
is
now.
delighted that you're in New York.
Yeah. And this morning, like, woke up this morning to race to the airport, and what did Patrick have? Runny nose. His first freaking cold. So sorry, sweetheart. Orla's back there looking after him, and hi, Patrick. You should be in bed.
Yeah. Yeah, 9 o'clock.
So yeah, that's an experience as well. And it's great, you know, with Conor now being 3.5. It's just what you're saying about the kids, like in this house we have to train. I love that. But when I walk into my house, I've no choice other than training, because he straight away is looking at me and he's Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
And he runs at me and hits me, or single leg, or whatever the case may be. Now it's kind of Transformers. So yeah, I think was it Dana that said fighting is our DNA?
Yes.
So it's always going to be there, and we just want to maybe help the industry aggregate itself a little bit better, so that we can compete with the other big fitness modules out there, so as we can get more people involved in this than currently are.
So are you guys going to be like ringing the bell and all that next week? Is it that famous shot up there? Is that going to be you
that
guys?
won't be next week.
Okay.
We'll get listed next week.
Okay.
We'll be available. You know, you can go and start
Buy
buying,
stock.
and, yeah,
Crazy.
buying stock. Again, the ticker MMA, under the ticker MMA.
And when you say next week, like when? Monday? Like
We're going to find out. We're
Okay.
heading straight to the exchange
Yeah.
from here, and
Amazing.
we're going to spend the week ironing out all the details with the bankers and our exec team. And but they are saying next week. So, and this is not a matter of if, but when. This is going to happen.
Yeah.
This is happening, and yeah, we're gonna.
when does the bell thing happen?
we'll be
I want
back.
that shot of you
I
guys
wanna
up there.
say- they say that usually happens like a month and a half or so later.
Okay,
It
okay.
doesn't actually happen immediately.
But that will happen.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
So
that's
we'll have to
100%.
come back, and we're going to bring some other people that I know you're very fond of in the sport. So
Oh, yes.
It's going to be a big celebration.
That's wild. So you're going to be up. That's incredible.
Amazing.
That's
eh?
a huge, that's a huge deal. I could be on the ground with like the little piece of paper and be like, I know those guys.
You're going to be
And,
there.
they could have
I was
asked
disappointed that my memory of like anything on the stock exchange was guys going
all the
wild.
papers.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Is it
then
not
when
that?
Oh, now it's so like calm and it's all electronic.
digital, yeah.
And, it's still. I mean, it's a beautiful old building. So it's still incredible to walk around it. But yeah, I did think when we got a
movies.
tour a couple of months ago, and I was waiting for just like, you know, something like a fight, like, you know,
Yeah,
guys trying to catch attention. But now
Oh,
it's real quiet. I was like,
times have changed. Just
we'll
like you.
create a bit of noise when we
Yeah. I remember when
do
you
the
were
bell
wrestling
ring.
with this idea, leaving the promotional game and, you know.
Oh, yeah. I talked to you about it quite a bit.
Yes. It's all worked out.
It has. It has.
Amazing. And here we are. We've talked for almost an hour, and I've not asked you one question about Conor McGregor. How about that? How about that? Isn't that amazing?
That's a record.
Isn't that amazing?
I was saying I did a bunch of interviews for the Bellator show next weekend, and every reporter, just as the time is running out, they kind of look down and they go, "So I have to kind of ask,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "It's okay, it's all
Yeah,
right.
I
I know
know.
that's why you guys talk to me." So when's his next fight and what's coming up?
Can I just say it's one of the, to me, I'm not putting words in your mouth. This is me, Ariel, saying it. I think it's a travesty what is happening. I think that he's being iced out, and I love to see Nate speak on his behalf. I don't know if you saw his
I did.
tweet. How about
Good on
that?
Nate. Yeah. Good
Nate
on
saying
Nate.
free Conor. And I know there's more to it, and I know he has a lot going on. But to me, comparing it to the world of boxing, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury don't say, I hope I get the call. he needs to be shown greater respect. He decides if there's no 302, 301, 303 on that date, make a number. Make a show for him. He has done so much for this sport. It blows my mind. I see him. I saw the interview today with Talk Sport, and it's like I could feel the frustration. I know he's being a company guy, and he's very fond of the UFC, but like the greatest of all time, the biggest draw, the biggest star shouldn't be treated this way. This is me. You could agree or disagree, but it gets me mad to see that because I think he deserves much better than that. And I say this with him not even coming on my show while in New York City. That's me keeping it real.
It is. It is.
Agree, disagree?
It's just the Blueberries Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I won't pretend to know the politics and what's going on with legal stuff in the background. All I know is, like, it seems odd that we're not getting more. But like I said, I really am speaking from a position of ignorance because I actually tried to purposely avoid all that.
No, it makes sense.
All the end of the team, they do all that, and they go back and forward with Hunter and the UFC team. But yeah, it's weird to me that for someone to be the star he is and not get more opportunities.
He should have fought at 300.
Yeah, and he
should fight on 6/29. June 29th, and now that day is rapidly approaching, right? International Fight Week. I know you guys do it differently with the months and the dates.
The 6th up to 29th.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, June 29th. Yeah, look, I'm going to meet him either this evening or certainly tomorrow for the movie. And trust me, that's why I half jokingly say to the journalists, you know as much as me. They always think, go on, tell me the inside scoop. I'm seeing the same clips pop up that you guys do.
Yeah.
You know, Conor's traveling so much and my head's down so much with what's happening day to day. Like, I'm not really every day on to Conor. Hey, I seen an interview.
Sure.
I just leave him be.
Yeah, of course.
And he'll come to me when the fight's announced. But I will be asking him, right, come on.
What's going on?
Up? Let's get
to the best of your knowledge, he's ready to go, right?
Yes.
He looks it.
Yes.
I see the training. Obviously, we don't, but like, let's go. What are we waiting for? Rich, can you put in a good word?
I try my best.
You're friends with those guys.
I just want to see him fight.
Yeah.
I want to, just like everybody else, I want to see Conor McGregor fight Michael Chandler.
That's your guy.
Yeah, he is.
Wait, are you rooting for Chandler? What is
I just want to see him fight. I just want to see him fight.
I'm trying to create a wedge between this
you
honeymoon.
are.
I've heard that that's what you do all the time. Like, I've never experienced that.
No,
why do people speak about how he's such a nice guy? I'm like, you haven't seen him in action.
But I mean, you built up Michael Chandler to the point
Chandler's great. I think he deserves that fight.
1,000%.
And the fans want to see it. And hopefully we can get it sooner than later. But I'll be rooting for, John and also rooting for Mike. Like, just hoping for something crazy and fun to happen in there, which I think will, if they can get in there soon.
Absolutely.
All right. So where can people find out more about what you guys are doing? I'm guessing it's that
there
URL. There it is.
TrainAlta.com. Go click on it. But especially, like, you're maybe an MMA gym owner, go on and have a click around, see if there's anything we can do to help you promote your gym, get you some extra members. That's what we're about. And for anybody interested in doing the program, still the same, TrainAlta.com. Get on there and let us know where you are. We'll then partner up with gyms in that area and help them put on our programs. And let's get the world training and peace through violence.
Yes.
We will help you start your journey.
Maybe we could have Dylan Dennis involved, right?
So we'll...
Patrick,
huh? You're gonna get me in trouble.
We could get Plinio, my guy Plinio. I love Plinio. You know Plinio Cruz, Alex Perez, coach in Newark. What a legend he is. So there's a lot of possibilities in this area alone, obviously. But I love what you guys are doing. We have the website right over here, trainalta.com. You have the Warrior Training Program, the Academy in Gym Training. I see DC here. Lest we forget, Laura Sanko.
Laura Sanko, we're going to meet her now.
Oh, she's here as well.
She's here as well. Yeah.
Is DC here too?
No,
not DC.
No, but we were together last week.
Right, I saw you guys. He was eating at the kiddie table.
Him and Bob,
right? Yes. Well, they weren't big enough for the investor table.
What do you mean? They were on the investor table.
No, they were sitting off to the side eating by. It was on his thing. I saw it of them eating on the kiddie table.
It just played out that way because there
were so many people.
There were so many people, and DC was running late because he had to coach. There was a big tournament last weekend, which I believe Dan, his son, won.
Oh, wow.
But we totally understood, and coaching's the priority. And once he got done with that, he shot it over with Bob So they were running a little late, so they were, banished to the kids' table.
I love the
but
story
it was
as
a great
well.
time.
Did you hear he was talking about like his
No, I
first, I
didn't
think it was
hear.
his first fight.
Oh, yeah.
His first fight, and he was telling the potential investors who were at the dinner, and DC is such a great storyteller.
Yeah,
Oh, my master
And he
storyteller.
basically says he was just getting ready to walk out, and Cook was beside him, Bob Cook, and he said he could see that he was nervous. He's looking at this guy that was just a wrestler, and
Yeah, Gary Frazier.
that was his first
Right?
In
opponent.
Strikeforce
In-
Challengers
yeah,
in Tulsa,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's why you're
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best. That's why you're the best one, Annie. And he turned to Bob and said, "Don't worry." And Bob was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" He said, "Don't worry." He goes, "Why?" "Because I'm a gamer." And I just love that. And he goes, "Well, he went out and he said, 7 minutes later, I was 1-0.
Yeah.
It was just a great story.
I remember that. There's a great Esterlin photo of him punching Gary Frazier very hard. And then he went on that run. I think he went to Australia at one point to fight.
Yeah, he won the King of the Cage title.
Yeah. Like they flew there for like
Yeah.
20 hours just to Australia to fight. Who was it? Was it Tony Johnson?
Yeah, who became a training partner later. Yeah.
Crazy.
You know, that fight, just a quick note, because I brought it up when I introduced him. Bob and I had a good laugh about that first fight. Like that night, you wouldn't think this is guy's going to be a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. But I guess it just goes to show it's not how you start, but how you finish.
Right. He didn't necessarily look the part.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
He says it himself.
Right. I love it. Well, I wish you guys the best. Congratulations on making it to this point and what's to come this week here in New York. And I will be watching with a big smile on my face when you're up there with the ding,
You'll be
ding,
there.
and whatever you do up there. I don't know what people do up there, but
you physically ring
you
the bell.
actually physically
There
ring
is
a
a
bell.
bell you
It's
ring.
incredible.
You're going to be there, though.
Okay, I'll be there as
it's on.
maybe as a friend of the family, a friend of the program, something like that. Go check it out. TrainAlta.com is where you can learn everything about what these two fine gentlemen are doing. Shout out to Nick, who's a great guy as well, the founder of the company, and everyone involved, Laura, DC, and all the people behind the scenes. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You can get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.